And Edison worked for the Lions Club.
Well,
I won't accept that. I think you're being unfair there.
well, all right. I mean, I think some of his ideas are interesting, but I think they should be countered also.
Oh, you are certainly fair. I think you're fair in pointing out the degree, too. That is a fair observation. However, I should certainly think that has nothing to bear on the ideas. Einstein flunked math.
In attempting to find out how this society is going to function, I think one of the significant things that Mr. Fresco said was that everyone will have the best that we can provide. And that was the significant phrase, that we can provide. Now, that's exactly the mistake that all the utopians have made right from the beginning, including Hitler and Marx and Stalin and so forth. We can provide. We make the decisions. There is no room for disagreement. And these are very dangerous ideas.
I think when Dr. Fresco meant the we, he meant the collective we. I think he meant I hope he meant the collective we.
Who would make the decisions?
I haven't heard.
Oh, well, Dr. All right, Mr. Dubler's asked the question. Who would make the decisions?
Who would make the decisions in this society?
Since there wouldn't be any vested interest or control groups, we have groups of people who come together and gather statistical evidence. And, for example, if we analyzed 100 soil samples, if we analyze soil samples and ask the agronomist what would be most efficient to grow under those conditions, and what the national need is in terms of nutrition. Rather than making decisions, we would arrive at decisions, and that's quite different. We want to get away from decision-making.
Well, assuming there would be a consensus.
I'm sorry, I think you're making the same mistake that all utopians make. You're going on the basis of how you think people ought to be rather than the way people really are. This is a mistake that you made when you differentiated between people with religious beliefs and those in atheists.
You're talking about what practical application has this?
Yeah. I mean,
you want me to answer you, sir?
Whether one is an atheist or whether one has a particular religious belief.
I don't know.
Is exactly that, a point of view, a value judgment, an opinion. And there is no, I'm sure you wouldn't claim that there would be any physiological difference between atheists and religious people.
No difference.
All right. So they're well, right. You've been doing a beautiful job of hanging yourself. It's too bad.
You're talking about physiologically, sir.
Interspersed with some good ideas, you keep frittering off. Every time.
He said physiologically, there's no difference.
I've never.
No, he said there's a tremendous difference.
Secretary to my life.
Okay, thank you. Neil Sonnet is fighting that bad air, and he wants to get some rest. We thank you for coming.
If the good doctor could have shown me a way to get rid of my infection, I would be happy not only to stay here, but to join his society. Unfortunately, when I came here, I couldn't hear out of one ear, and now I'm afraid I can't hear out of the entire head.
Thank you, Neil.
So
You've been a brilliant
with
advocate.
permission, I'm going to take my leave. And I just want to say that what I told the doctor during the news break, which is that I think he's a brilliant man, I still think is true. I agree with Jacque Gleason's comments concerning his intent and his thinking, and it's been a pleasure being on the show.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. Always. Neil Sonnet, former Chief Prosecutor of the United States Attorney's Office and a practicing attorney. The rest of our panel will be with us until 5. Arlen J. Doubler, social scientist. Virginia Hine, instructor and research anthropologist. Talk to you tomorrow, babe. Neil Sonnet, and we hope the ear feels better. And tomorrow we're going to be speaking for his mother, Mickey Sonnet, who is with the Optimists Club. They have a luncheon tomorrow on Miami Beach, where we're the guest speaker. I saw the flyer they sent out. Boy, I hope I'm as good as the flyer with the headlines. And I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And it's only 7 hours away. Okay, we're continuing with Dr. Jacque Fresco, Arlen J. Dubler, and Virginia Hine. They'll be with us until 5, and we'll reach all the calls. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. I'd like to very briefly put a couple things into perspective as far as looking at cultures and civilizations and how Jacque Fresco's theories can apply in a practical way towards solving some of these problems, because I'm sure that's what everybody wants to do anyway, whether we agree with Fresco the man or not. I think his ideas and theories are more important than any feelings we might have towards his individual approach towards conveying these ideas. But anyway, if we consider that modern man has been around for about 50,000 years, we can divide these last 50,000 years of man's existence into lifetimes of approximately 62 years. And there have been 800 such lifetimes. And of these 800 lifetimes of modern man, fully 650 of them were spent in caves. Only during the last 70 lifetimes has it been possible to communicate effectively from one lifetime to another, as writing made it possible to do. Only during the last 6 lifetimes did masses of men ever see a printed word. Only during the last 4 has it been possible to measure time with any precision. And only in the last 2 has anyone anywhere used an electric motor. And the overwhelming majority of all the material goods we use in daily life today have been developed within the present, or the 800 lifetime.
Meaning?
Now, hello?
Meaning?
Okay, meaning that people who, when we speak in terms of not wanting to have a technological society, and let's get away from the technological aspects, all you have to do is look around the room that you're sitting in right now, and you know that we are irrevocably tied together with technology. There's no way to get around it. But a more nifty technological society is not, I don't think, the important aspect of socio-cyberneering. The aspect is, how do you apply that to free men to go about their own business to do what they want? Now, in terms of accomplishing world goals and eliminating the food problems, transportation problems, let's get rid of all those problems first. Then we can sit down and decide, well, what's man's true nature, or is there a God? But let's eliminate all the problems first. Now, in terms of man's nature, so much of Jacque's theories hinge on an understanding, or coming to a closer understanding of what's man's nature. And it's very hard, you see, just by looking around at the condition of the world today, you can see that emotionally human beings have not matured past 4 or 5 years of age. That at the age of 4 or 5 years old, children are egocentric. They cannot see the world from another person's point of view. They can't be concerned with your personal feelings. They don't have that ability, just like they don't have the ability of understanding volume concepts, like the volume of a beaker, or volume of a cube compared to the volume of a sphere. They don't understand certain concepts until the brain matures to a certain age. And as adults, we haven't matured emotionally to take a hard look at what is this a human being, and how can we go about to making it a different kind of human. What Fresco is talking about is certainly not very different from what Jesus Christ talked about. The only thing is that Jesus Christ didn't have a means of bringing about what he wanted, because preaching it wasn't sufficient. And by coming around with these new kinds of ideas and looking at what a human being is in new kinds of terms, and not feel egotistical about it, we can see that we are very malleable, and that humans turn out exactly the way they've been brought up.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Excuse me, Mr. Dobley, want to comment? Anybody have a comment? Miss Hine?
I got sort of lost in that
Well,
argument.
certainly the concept of the generations was an interesting one on what we've come to believe. You would have to agree with that.
It was an interesting concept. A few of the figures I think were incorrect, but basically I think he expressed a point of view that tells us that we haven't had too much change until recently, relatively speaking,
Yeah.
and then it's come all of a sudden,
And
geometrically
that's
speaking.
technological change he's talking about. I think.
See, the technological changes that Jacque is talking about do not really have to do with what you do with your life. They involve more in making the environment an intelligent place to live in. In other words,
Right.
the technology comes in making the food grow better, having more food around, having better transportation systems, cleaner air. That's where the technology comes in. It doesn't come in and infringe on your anything that you want to do.
But it will, won't it?
Pardon me?
Won't it?
Well, no. Okay, look at it this way. For instance, if you had $10
Did
million...
you ever try, say, writing a letter to a computer?
Pardon me?
You try writing a letter to a computer.
What do you mean, writing a letter?
Well, you get a bill from a company and you write a letter back on the bill. You've written a letter to a computer.
Well, look.
I'm talking about affecting your lives. You want to go a little bananas.
Using
You know what I
computers-
do? I fold, mutilate, and staple.
You don't understand.
I do that all the time. Whenever it says do not, I do that.